I want to take my sock off.
Yeah, you should probably do that.
I'm going to do the sexy sock removal dance. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Can we even put this on YouTube now?
Yeah, we could definitely do that. You show everyone your dead toe as well.
They're fine. Ish.
Ah! Woo! Welcome to CDR, our first episode of 2022.
In February.
Yes, we have started late once again.
Well, I mean, just before you jump further into it, like, it is funny that I think we promised at the end of last year that we wouldn't have any more scheduling mishaps, and then immediately, well, you got COVID, everyone went into lockdown for some period of time, and this is, I think I've only seen you twice since we've been freed.
You as well.
Yeah, I went into ISO. I didn't get it, but I certainly was locked in my house for a little bit. So anyway, that's mucked around with the scheduling. So Aussie month is already over, but we have Aussie albums to review. So
yes, we
the show
do.
must go on.
So we'll start. First one off the bat is Genesis Owusu with Smiling with No Teeth. This is his debut album. You also had a song that did come in the Triple J Hottest 100 at number 74.
Just going to pause you right there. Make sure you're talking into your mic.
Am I not?
You always, like, this is where you should be. Like, you should be here speaking into it like this. You can't be rocking around all over the place.
Just Stevie Wonder.
You're absolutely a Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder has better mic sense.
Agreed.
Anyway, 75 in the Hot 100 for Gold Chains.
75 for Gold Chains. His debut, 15 songs running for 54 minutes. At the time of this recording, Genesis is 23 years old, who came from Ghana.
Wait, who, sorry?
Genesis?
Oh, Genesis. Sorry, I thought you... I'm like, that's not his name. It's Kofi Owusu Ansah.
Or Coffee, as they thought it was when he was a child, and that's how he got the name Genesis. Because the kids couldn't pronounce his name properly, so his brother just switched it up and just says Genesis.
I mean, that's a pretty boss name to just suddenly pull out of a hat.
Yeah, at like 5 or 6 years old.
The older brother or the
older brother? Yeah, I think it's when they went to school that happened.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Yeah, 23. Him and his brother did their own EP called Polaroid in 2015. Genesis got noticed by a local Canberra rapper, did a couple of collabs with him, worked with him. They really enjoyed his jazzy and soulful funk, and started doing his own thing, and here we are, debut. And a little bit disappointed more songs didn't make it into the chart.
I'm surprised the other Black Dog didn't make it in. I heard a ton of that on Triple J in the last few months. That was actually the only song of his that I knew. I'd never heard Gold Chains played on Triple J, funnily enough. I've heard the other Black Dog, but yeah, I could have sworn that one was going to make an appearance, but it didn't. It is a shame that only one track did.
When I look at the list of Hot 100, I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on in this list.
No, but it was yes, it was a terrible list up until the Wiggles won it, at which point it self-corrected, and
the Wiggles covering who was it?
It was
Cage the Elephant.
Yeah, Elephant by Tame Impala.
Tame Impala.
And the hipsters, they did cry. And I enjoyed it. So
it's beautiful. Absolute beautiful. Now we're just talking random bullshit. Let's start out with the first song being...
Don't you want to talk about the album generally? How was your time with your album?
You're right.
I know we're out of practice, Brinny boy.
We're massively out of practice. This is hard. The first listen and first run through, I was surprised that the first 3 songs, or first 2 songs, are dramatically different for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Like, it just changes. I wasn't expecting this funk, this funky 80s pop inspired with just manic guitar every now and then. His voice, he's got a large vocal change between doing higher pitch to this rumbling Barry White throughout, and just really kind of enjoyed it a lot. Changed. There's a few things throughout it. I was just like shocked and surprised. Like never saw that coming.
Right.
Like reversal speech that I still don't know.
Yeah. That was pretty fun. Just also be clear. This I think is primarily an R&B album, but kind of like Gene Dawson, there are a ton of external influences that make it in. So when you're saying things like pop influence, 80s funk, stuff like that, it's in the same way that Gene Dawson's album would incorporate external influences. So primarily R&B, but
I wouldn't even say R&B. I'd say more hip hop.
Okay, whatever. Potato, right? Okay, great. Yeah, I must admit I had the same sort of week or same sort of time with it.
It was surprising. I was not boring.
Yeah, so it does enough to change up the formula song on song. I kind of think that the first 4 or 5 tracks do fit into the same sort of groove. And then you hit Drown, which basically sounds like a Bruce Springsteen track. With I see the mask in place. With like the guitars that sort of rock in.
What song do you think that is? Because I thought, I was like, I don't know who this is. I can't think of where this like soundbite would come from. Cass said Bruce Springsteen as well. And I'm like, what song? But
it's just that quintessential like 70s boss music, basically. I couldn't tell you
sort of.
No, not Bruce Springsteen and Footloose. You need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Let's use some outdated cliches while we're at it. I'll go and listen to any of Bruce Springsteen's back stuff. I couldn't tell you any specific tracks, but it just has that feel to it, especially the way he's singing it as well. And then, then Gold Chains is very moody, and then like the tracks like I Don't See Color is just like it's menacing. Like it really taps into these different musical motifs to impart an entirely different emotion. And then Black Dogs, I don't think you particularly like the track, but I think it's awesome. It has like these early 2000s punk flares to them. I think that's what it actually does that keeps my interest, especially given this, I don't have a proclivity to this type of music, is the fact that basically track on track, there's something else to really sort of wrangle with.
Yeah.
Whether he's chucking in Bruce Springsteen influences or just doing something completely funky with, reversed lyrics or, what's that track?
Wicka wicka woo.
No, the one where it's like, what you think you're gonna do when the thing's on you, brother? Like that, like there's an interest there. I really sort of vibe with that track as well.
I don't need you. No.
What
don't need? Yeah, I don't need you.
What you think you're gonna do when the trigger's on you, brother?
Yeah.
So there's just a ton of that sort of mixed in, and the listen was. I was super encouraged the first time I listened to it. I'm like, I'm actually gonna like listening to this. Yeah.
The song in there that just completely threw me out. Come to the end is like a song about fishing.
Throwing, what's it called? A song about fishing. Yeah, where you're casting your net into a fishless lake, which sort of plays into lyrics in previous songs. And I guess that's one thing to sort of bring up, is that this is definitively a concept album. It's story driven. It's a concept. There is a fairly identifiable narrative that threads between all of the different tracks, which is actually really quite good. And I think touches on a lot of different sensitive topics in a great way.
Yep, fair enough. What do you think Black Dog is?
I think Black Dog, so there's obviously racial tension built into the fabric of the album, right?
Yeah.
So the individual, there are I would say 3 primary characters that come to mind. There's a love interest, there is the Black Dog, the original Black Dog, and then there is the other Black Dog, which I think is the protagonist for this album. That's the person who comes into the fraternity of the Black Dog, see the riches that come with it, but it comes at the expense of his love interest over time. And I think the album is about him finding himself, finding out that the love interest sort of breaks away, finding himself again, but yet the last track sort of hints at maybe he is being lured or is still allured by the prospect of black dogs. So black dogs, the name itself, I think, is interesting because I think it's a collective term. Like if we're part of the Black Dogs, we're part of that gang. But the name is chosen, I think, very specifically because it would have been a racial slur if used by a white guy against a black guy in the past. And in the same way that like the N-word might have been reappropriated, this is sort of a way of a gang reappropriating what might have been a slur to become something a bit more internally powerful. So I think that's what the moniker of it is. It's actually a really clever choice of central story construction, which just blew me away the more I was sort of reading through the lyrics, just how much consideration and nuance there was in something as silly as the name of the gang that they're effectively joining. At least that's how I've interpreted how the story unfolds. So yeah, totally clever. And the album, obviously, the Black Dogs offer riches, but they don't acquire them in the most ethical of ways, or at least that's how I think the story plays out.
That's where I kind of came down to, made the Black Dogs your inner bad boy, negative, ruthless, doesn't have any emotions or feelings. Just do whatever you can to feel something and don't care if you screw someone over to get it. But it's also the other part of maybe that black dog pulls you into depression and negative feelings and
possibly
thoughts.
See, I would have thought like that's why I think it's two separate characters rather than like an internal monologue, because I think the other black dog, the protagonist, he starts off depressed doing weed. I think in that particular song, the other black dog, he's talking about all of these sort of things and perhaps being allured into something else. By the merchant, smiles for sale, like that really, that really like electronica Barry White voice. That's just like it's just
Stephen Hawking's.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could say Stephen Hawking's, but I mean, it had that deepness to it that tinny Stephen Hawking's voice didn't quite have. So that's what I think the Black Dog means. I think it's a gang, and it's got different references. Yeah. It can be used in different references. And so what I liked about this album is that it never paints anyone as the Messiah or the martyr, right? The story feels as though it's warts and all, right? There are racial issues that permeate existence. It's talked about in this, but the one interesting thing is that no character in this story is made holy, right? The main character is flawed. That's the impression that I get. And this person struggles with those flaws. So despite there being justified motive for certain gangland activities that I think take place as part of the story, it's never ever preached to you what you should be doing. This is really an examination or introspection from the perspective of this character, warts and all.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed that. I didn't feel like... I didn't feel like I was being preached to. I thought I was being given a really honest account of what life might be like in that space.
I think you've pretty much nailed the album. Review done.
Let's go through the tracks, because like I said, if the story is that well constructed, you'd hope the songs back them up. And each track offers something, even if they're not your favorite tracks. I think they offer something else to, I'm going to say it, sink your teeth into. Let's get my cliches running for 2022. Crap, we're in 2022, folks.
I know.
Bloody fucking hell.
You know how old you're turning this year as well?
No. 2022, I don't know, probably 25. So the first song, On the Move.
On the Move's just like a quick little introduction. Creepy, twitchy electronics and creepy harmonies as well. I felt this was... It's like that fade in for the album. Sure, why not? Throw it in. Who cares? It's the first song. Why not making it a short intro?
It felt like it was the introduction of the Black Dog clan, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
And there's someone in the Black Dogs who is the blackest of dogs, as one of the lyrics in the song sort of points out. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Was he like they're the leader, or
no? Maybe they most represent what the clan itself are going for.
Okay,
Maybe is how I interpreted that. I think this is a great way to set the album up. It is super moody.
Yeah, it does.
But really aggressive. Don't you get that sense? Like, I know that it has like the whispery vocals, but I get the impression that it's understatement of aggression.
Yep.
Aggression is the primary emotion in the song, but it is deeply understated.
Yeah, fair enough. Moving into the first kind of song of it, The Other Black Dog.
Who's the pet and who's the teacher?
Different again off the bat after the first one. You're just like, it's funky. It goes straight into that funky and groove, and I was like, this is not what I was expecting in that first minute of the first song. And like, yeah, the harmonies in the center. I mean, it slows down towards the end. It's like, this was just odd for me to be listening to. I don't quite. I think it was a great enjoyable for the first start. I don't have much to give to it. It's hard to explain.
This song rollicks, and I think the lyric spit is just really sort of in step with the higher tempo for this particular track. This track explores what I think is the main character's inner turmoil, general discomfort with reality, and some of the racial bents towards it. Mixed in with the fact that maybe he's not making the right choices in a lot of ways too. So, there you go. You can have external issues and internal issues, it turns out. Yeah. Which is, step one of good character building, right? If you're writing a story, you don't just want, your character to be the perfect hero and then there's just something bad out there to face. Otherwise, you're just writing the fucking Avengers movie over and over again. If you want deep layered characters, you need them to have problems too.
Yeah, they're all going to have some sort of tragedy.
It's a great track.
In the struggles, probably better than dealing with outer struggles.
You would rather deal with inner struggles because you can control them with greater degrees of clarity.
I feel like that's not true.
Well, I mean, it's harder to... So the example I would give is it might be harder to correct the course of racial oppression than it might be to make yourself less overweight, say, if you had gained weight, or if you were doing unhealthy things in your free time. You could stop them, maybe at great cost to yourself.
Yeah.
This is a great track. Should have been in the Hot 100.
Yeah, I think so too. I also reckon Centerfold should have been in there too. I love this, like, it's 80s funk. This is the one with the reverse singing, and I tried to find out what it was.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Couldn't even come close to someone because it let me know what it was. It softens up, but this is the one where he goes into that deep Barry White, and this is that moment when I realized, like, in The Other Black Dog, he at some points loses his breath because he's trying to pump out so much. But as the album goes on, and I think it's not this one and maybe the next one, but he says a lot and he's not running out of breath as time goes on through the album. And I found this really interesting. But this one particularly is like smooth and sweet. And I like Barry White all the way.
He's a good voice.
It is. And he does change up vocals throughout this album. But when he hits that low, we're like, ooh, I'm like, oh. Oh, yes.
Yeah, this is a good track. Probably not my favorite, but definitely not a bad track by any stretch of the imagination. This feels like the introduction of the love interest.
Yep.
The character tries to be aloof about it. Like, one of the lyrics I've got, is, I can say that it's just for you, but I lied. But are you lying? Is he doing this thing for his love interest? Or is he lying? Or is he saying that he's lying to cover up the fact that maybe there might be some affection under the table, so to speak? So there's a couple of little layers to the track. Admittedly, I probably skip this one in future. I know you probably like it.
This one is probably this is.
I don't hate it. No. I don't hate it. It's just it's not for me.
No, fair enough. There's sometimes where I just go, I can't not like it for some reason. It just sticks there. But if I choose the other songs, I just don't know.
Is it the Barry White vocals that get you over the line? Is that what it is?
No, actually, I'm trying to pinpoint. I think it's even the start that gets me. That
blip, 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 blip.
Yeah, it's really got that that 80s disco feel where you're just cruising around. It's like,
I mean, it's a little bit too low tempo for disco specifically.
Well,
It's more like
you can say, I don't think so.
It's like a slow. Well, I mean,
disco doesn't have to be at that like slightly higher temp. It can be low.
I would argue that a disco track, if dialed down to half of the BPM and the track is slowed all the way in, would be like the song where you'd be slow grooving potentially with your partner. You'd be in slow step with them.
See, I kind of think of more like a roller ring.
You do you, mate.
Yeah, just chill, bang, and roll around. Waiting on You. This is a Stephen Hawking. It's got like that astral plane at the start. Crackling, rumbling, slow and chilled, funky guitar. But, you know, whenever you put a trumpet in the song, like, I'm going to love it. I don't know what it is. It just... I don't feel like it got enough. It's like towards the back half of this song is like they start bringing in different flavors. They throw out the trumpet and that sort of fades off for a bit. And then they bring out the piano, or well, actually it's probably a keyboard. But then, you know, harmonizing with the humming and they're just like synchronizing. It's like, love it.
Yeah, this is a good track. There's actually been a remix made of this track recently that seems to be getting some traction as well for it. But it cuts out some of the best parts of the track. I reckon the funniest parts of the track where it's like, you know, I'll let you sink into the depths, and then it's like, your alarm can't disturb you in an eternal slumber.
Yes, and every day is a holiday when you can't tell the time.
Yeah, and something about buying sunglasses if you forever sit in the shade.
Don't. Why bother buying sunglasses if you can just?
I love that part. It's like there's a levity to it, which is great, and you need that in a story. The story can't just be a fucking can't be just all dark. You need to have like moments of lightness, and I think this is where it is.
Is this the one where he starts? Is like there's a point where he's talking about like sinking his fangs into the skull, or maybe that was in Centerfold.
Potentially, there are a lot of Fang references generally throughout the album, and when I say a lot, I mean like maybe 3 or 4. But it is an easy tie back to the Black Dogs theme.
I'm starting to realize as we're talking about it how much this is just around the Black Dog. So I don't know why it's called Smiling with No Teeth.
We can get to Smiling with No Teeth. I think Smiling with No Teeth is a fairly apt analogy for certain things, but we'll get to that when it comes to it. This track feels like where the main character is starting to get lured by the riches that the Black Dogs might be able to offer them.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I guess.
Now the next song is
Don't Need You.
Your ass is stinky and you built like a mole. I'm sorry. I knew that was the
best line.
I know. I'm sorry.
It just that pops out. It comes out of nowhere. That one line, you're just like, oh god damn it! Yeah. And I'll put your ass in London if you can take a stroll.
Yeah,
feeling better.
I feel awesome. Yeah. God damn.
And you stop chugging on my dome.
Could this be true?
I don't need you.
This track is a bop.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I kind of got to like what I wrote down was like it's epiphany at some point. It was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm fucking done with this. I'm moving on. I'm like, this maybe a point in it where he wants to grow a little bit, but it could just be, you know, that false sense. It could just be, you know, black smoke.
I didn't actually totally tie down the way that this track integrates best with the narrative, funnily enough. This was probably one that I had a little bit of difficulty just properly tying back. But at the end of the day, the track is a bop. I really like the irregularities in that "wait, could this be true?" lyric line. It's very rarely the same, and it punctuates in different ways as the track progresses, and it just I always hear it, and I'm always interested by it, and I always pick the wrong irregularity to sing along with.
I think, yeah, I do too. I get it mixed up. It's like, sometimes I wonder if this song is just like buggering off the person from the centerfold. It could be a girl. It's like you finally have just...
I mean, Don't Need You might be the giveaway.
It may be the giveaway, but the other part is like, I got a therapist and now I'm the richest I've ever been. I'm going to be not rich in money or... won't be rich in wealth. I'll be rich in blessings.
Fair enough.
I mean, yeah, finally
and your
moving
ass
away.
Is stinky.
And you built like a mole.
Big stinky ass.
Have you
Drown?
This is that Bruce Springsteen you were talking about, but this is probably one of my favorites.
This is a good track. I like this track.
This is the poppy upbeat.
It does have the poppy section. It's such a strange one because the Bruce bits are definitely the verses, but then it's like is like the random energy that they have for the chorus.
Yeah,
but you got to let me drown.
I know you gotta let me drown, but like this is the rapping in this one. I think is so fluid.
Yeah.
This is where I noticed that he's able to you try and keep up with him. You try and say, get the lyrics out and just try and keep up, and you can't, but he's just doing it with such ease. I think this is the point where you go, there is so much talent.
Yeah.
Even like I'm glad you broke down his lyrics a little bit more because I think they really got away from me. But the fact that it flows so well, and yet the story is so dense.
Well, I mean, that's the one thing that I feel maybe hip hop, R&B, and rap specifically can really take advantage of, and I'm sort of surprised there isn't more of it, is the concept album. You can literally tell a fucking story in full. I'm sure there's plenty of rap concept albums. I think. I actually don't know. That feels like a very uninformed statement.
I would say you would have to be right.
But I can't imagine there's that many in like the R&B hip hop space. That doesn't feel like something that would happen. It feels like a lot of the hip hop R&B is self-referential. Like, you know that they are talking about themselves, whereas this is clearly, even if it's meant to reflect the artist's life, it's done so
through protagonist and antagonist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which could probably be the same person.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I really like that track.
Drown.
Yeah.
That's my favorite on the album. I'll put that up there.
I'll keep it. Gold Chains. So this is the one that did make Hot 100.
Yep, this is the one that came in at 75. This slow, smooth, and effectless. No, that's not a right word.
Effective
is probably what I'm trying to say. I really enjoyed like the twitchy guitar. The pullback towards the end. And there's a line in it that just really grabbed me, was a goon playing charades inside the phase of a corporate system.
Yeah, so that's the quintessential microcosm for the album, right? Is he knows he's a goon, there are those negative connotations with it, and he's stuck in whatever confine that this poor person is stuck in. Like, it's sort of, you're a goon stuck in that space, right? And I think this track also had a couple of lyrics that really sort of grabbed my attention. I love the sentiment for this track. You know, they chip away my heart, expect a coin to fill me. It's like he's starting to realize that he, has perhaps been bought in the past. Whatever thing has happened to this character, he's realizing that he might have been commercially persuaded previously, and maybe he doesn't want to be that way going forward.
Well, you get that at the start. It's like, it's cold inside these chains.
Cold, yeah, but the chains are golden, right?
But so he's still flashy. Looks like he's killing it, but inside he's just a little bit, I guess, dead.
Yeah, so it's the perfect analogy if you feel like you're being trapped by wealth to some extent.
Yep.
You're stuck in gold chains, which also ties, I think, really well to the racial overlay, right? Like, he feels like he's in chains, and I think that plays really well to the angst that the character feels towards the racial tensions that permeate the story. Clever symbology.
Yep.
Clever.
What lines? You said there was lines that really
so they chip away my heart, expect a coin to fill me. It's sort of just that explicit, the external forces can feel that they can purchase me, basically.
Yep. I think there's a reason why this one made it into the highest one. I just can kind of relate to this if you really want to.
Yeah, as a song, I'm not like super in love with it. I like some of the lyrics in it. I think
only the lyrics is really that would pull people in.
Yeah. I think it has nice, smooth vocal deliveries through the chorus. Like the gold chains is quite nice. But yeah, again, probably not my style or preference, but I like how it fits into the narrative. And so for that reason, I think it gets a lot of props. But yeah, not my favorite song on the album by any stretch.
Yeah. Smiling with no teeth was the next one. I think that came in number 2 for me. Actually, no.
As in your second favorite track?
Second favorite. It'd be around that 2-3.
So this song particularly had a ton of lyrics that I think could vie for best lyrics on the album, and one of them is in the chorus. And I don't find like I hear the best lyrics in the chorus because they have to be singable, repeatable. And the sentiment can wear thin very quickly in a chorus, but like everybody wants to help, but they ain't lending a hand. It's just perfect.
That's probably why you get smiling with no teeth.
Well, it's that quintessential like you want to do something, but you only want to appear as though you're doing something.
It's like everyone wants a feeling without feeling pain. Everyone wants a summer without
the rain. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone wants to help, but they ain't lending a hand.
Yeah,
it's just such a sentiment that resonates so deeply with me. Just I really quite like it.
It's unbelievably just true because there's 99% of people are like that. They don't want to try hard. They want the easy.
84% of all statistics aren't true.
That's also not true.
But
that's a lie.
Prove it. So like towards the end of the second verse, it has like too many cries have cried with no tears. There are plenty of people pretending to cry.
Children.
Well, I mean, adults that should know better. That's what comes to mind, really.
Yeah, I do get that, but I've even for a 1-year-old.
Yes, well,
do you want some milk? What?
So the amount of adults that have the disposition of a 1-year-old is the concerning part. And then the next line is, too many nets cast into fishless lakes, which obviously ties in perfectly to a song later in the album. And then too many smiles cracked with no teeth. It's such a vivid image to imagine in your head, someone smiling and it's just all gums. And despite the best intentions, there's something off about it.
Yep.
And it just paints that image just immediately. Yeah, the imagery in the lyrics, especially in this track, I think is awesome.
I actually have a line in this
that
I thought you would really, really like.
Far away.
Slathering honey on your demons for the palate of the apathetic isn't that pathetic?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to really sort of sit and properly digest.
I was hoping you would do that for me because I couldn't.
So read the lyric again.
Slathering honey on your demons for the palate of the apathetic isn't that pathetic.
All right, so slathering honey on your demons for the palate of the apathetic. So the apathetic are the people who don't really care so much, so that like there may be people that you're trying to impress that no matter what you do they aren't going to be impressed. Slathering honey on your demons may be
I think it's just like covering up.
I think it might be like
putting sprinkles on a turd.
No, I think it might be trying to almost give too much credence to your demons. It's hard to know if the demons they're talking about are internal or external. So it might be, if they are external, it might be pandering to someone to try and impress others. And I think that that might be a sentiment that the current society might suffer from a little bit, is trying to look good in front of others who don't care anyway.
Yeah.
Right? And I can't be certain that that's what that means because, I mean, honey, demons, apathetic, all in the one statement. I'm probably going to get it wrong. But if that's the takeaway, I think that's a fairly good sentiment.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I don't see colour.
I don't see colour. Yeah. What do you think you're going to do?
When the trigger's on you, brother.
How you think you're going to move?
When the trigger's on you, brother.
This, I think, is the song that best encapsulates the racial tension, but at the same time there's no holier than thou. It's like everyone, it feels like there's always a bit of underhandedness everywhere. That's the impression I get from that song. So I've written down, the track feels like it's about social stereotypes, and each playing into the social stereotypes to some extent, whilst being confronted by the fact that they're being stereotyped. It's just like, it's like a total irony, this song, but it's so good. It's aggressive, and some of the points raised by the song, I think, are great. It's, when you see the Arab man, you're worried about bombs and flares. You see the yellow man, it's the Asian man, it's the yellow scare. You see the black man, I can't remember the line, but when we talk about slavery, you weren't there. How convenient. Which is just, it's a fair point to bring up. And I think the previous verse had it from the perspective of the other. From the other is probably the best way to put it. Yeah, it's also menacing. Like, I get the impression that the black dogs are out and about at this particular point in time. I can't remember. It might be the next song where there's actual discussion of physical violence occurring or about to occur. But yeah, this song, it's menacing in all the right ways.
Yeah.
Is that sort of how you took it?
I think, it was trying to talk about race and stereotypical without, I don't know, being too lopsided. Maybe I just didn't know how to really break this down. I was like, you're trying to get your point across, but in the end, what's the point?
Yeah,
there's race.
Well, everywhere. I mean, and the tying off lyric in the verses is, it's hard to move differently when your face is that face.
Yeah.
So it's like, it feels like that line is meant to say, to some extent, we're all fucked by the demons of our past, to some extent, right? Like, everyone inherits some aspect of their history, rightly or wrongly, and there's no way around it.
Yeah.
That's what that feels like the song is saying, and I think it's a fairly good critique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you nailed it.
Yay. Well, hopefully I don't get cancelled as a result of it. I don't think I've said anything.
Yeah.
I think I understand.
If someone got upset over that, I was like, come on.
I don't know. I mean, I say some pretty upsetting things, like liking Infest the Rat's Nest, for instance.
Are you the chud?
I might be the chud. Black Dogs.
Black Dogs. This is chaotic.
Do you like this song?
This is probably this is the song with the most teeth on it. This just jumped out. Yep. And I probably get the whole point of why it becomes more maniac and chaotic, and why it's really aggressive, and why it jumps out is, I guess this is the point where it's almost about to be a beatdown. Yes,
absolutely. I think some of the wordplay is great in this song. Profiled to the letter. You ain't mean it, man. You swear you would never. Is like that, that aggressive, hey, you've profiled me. You said you wouldn't ever do it. And there's that aggression to the track that makes you worried that, something's going
to happen. Yeah.
Right? I really like this track. This is awesome. It has these extravagant, hyper accentuated vocal runs that. Have you ever heard the song? I think it's called "Gay Bar" by Electric Six, where it has the really flamboyant.
Why don't you take me to a gay bar? Yeah, that one.
Let's start a war. Start a nuclear war. He sings like that throughout the track, and I every time I hear it, that's the song that comes to mind. But I friggin' love it. Because it's just not at all like anything else throughout the rest of the album. There might be hints at it, but he's going with that personality for this particular track, and I think it really suits it.
It's where the aggression can't be held back.
It's funny because the voice doesn't sound overly aggressive. It's
got power. It's got a bark to it.
Yes. Yeah, it's a tough one to categorize, but I think it works.
Yeah. Or do you think so I don't see Colour, Black Dogs, and the next one is Whipped Cracker. Do you think these three kind of are meant to be
absolutely.
A join?
So Whipped Cracker gives me the impression that the Black Dogs have gained some level of ascendancy.
Yep.
And are taking advantage of their newfound position.
Yeah.
Which is odd because this track is mostly just a 70s disco vibe.
It really is. It's not much for 2 minutes.
It's like you have the song for the first 90 seconds, and then the rest is just vibing out. It's just But it does have one of my more liked lyrics in the album too. You a woman beater, but you still want respect.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty funny, like in a dark way, obviously. But
Mama say, Mama say.
I'm a fucking star.
Man, I like the beat through this. The rhythm of his singing for this is just on point.
It's just drums and him, but it's awesome.
Yeah. Bring out the hand drums,
and then the funky upstrum.
Yep.
Once you get towards the end of the track, know your place.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's a good song. Really, I like Woodcracker.
Those three go together so well, I reckon.
Yeah,
I think there's a whole statement which he's trying to. Maybe it's an area of a topic, racial topic, that he's just looking from different angles, or they're all coming together and they're getting their own say out, I guess.
I think this is more the tinderbox portion of the story, kind of like towards the end of the second act, where the shit has hit the fan at this particular point. Whatever the Black Dogs have sought out to do, they are achieving it.
Yeah,
that's what I think these block of songs are doing. And whilst through that lens, they are able to look at the continued racial theme throughout. So that's what I think is actually happening.
Cool.
And then Easy being the following song.
Being a sucker, getting played.
Yeah, this is the song where I think the love interest ends.
Yep.
Because she's gone with a colonizer.
A colonizer?
Yeah. So that is how I interpret that, is the love interest is gone with someone who has colonized, or I would interpret as a white person.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, that sounds like a... Yeah. Okay, well, this gives me like Gorilla vibes, I reckon, along a little bit.
He's such a fool.
He's such a fool.
When he says that he's in love.
Thank you.
She's such a fool.
Yeah, those harmonies those backing vocals are pretty sick.
Yeah. I don't mind this track. It's not one of my favorites, but the vocals are really... Yeah, very syrupy, very just like, very listenable. And then when he comes in, they pass the time.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
I don't know what to think about this. It's like, you would have thought when it's like he's been played or she's kicked him to the curve. It doesn't sound like the vocals play on with that. It's like, he's like, oh, I'm just...
They never really, though. I mean, like the previous, like Black Dogs, it doesn't sound aggressive. He just sounds energetic, right? So, I mean, this song still gives the sense that the story is shifting. And it would be too weird if he came in and was like soppy, for instance. This album doesn't give me the impression that it wants to be... I
wasn't
meaning it like that.
Meaning like he would come in soppy or be a crybaby. More like it's like, don't give a fuck.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he does. And so I think that's why it's not a complete angry song either.
Yeah.
There's some light and shade there. The character is clearly impacted by the transpirings of this song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Next song.
A song about fishing.
This song reminds me of Bob Dylan during the verses. He has this couple of lines where it sounds like he's singing like Bob
Dylan. Yep. You are dead right.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right. That just spoken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This song feels like the character has left the Black Dogs at this point. I feel like Easy is like the tipping point for him, and the breakdown of a relationship also means that he is ending his relationship with the Black Dogs. And so now he's sort of back to the grind. He's casting his net in a fishless lake.
Yes, but then as time he moves on and then finds a lake full of marlins and salmon and a much more
greener pastures.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, this song's really not one of my preferred songs.
No, this is the outlier in the whole album.
Yeah, agreed. But I still appreciate where it fits in to the narrative. It's probably the lightest song on the album in terms of the content. I don't feel like we're in a dark, menacing space. It's open, bright pianos.
Yeah, pianos, guitar, like a soft whisper, gospel backing as well. Yeah. It's like, it's I guess a change of tides.
Yeah.
Would fit in quite nicely.
Yeah.
It's cool. But yeah, meh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just weird to put it in. This song, Not Looking Back, first of all, I'm just going to say it sounds like Janet Jackson everywhere I go.
yeah. At the start of the chorus.
Even the start, just straight off the start, is just, but it's like slowed down to like 2/3 of the speed.
Yeah, fair enough. I cleared the water. I cleared the water. I cleared the water. And there's no looking back.
There's trumpets.
It's big band.
Yeah, it's brass. Bring it in.
Yeah, it's just absurd. Right?
And I thought this would be the last song too.
Yes.
I felt like this would be perfect.
But no. But I kind of enjoy the fact that it's not, right. Like this is cliche. This is the song about the character realizing that only he can set himself free from his internal struggle with his own internal strength. It's like, yeah, every fucking story is like that.
Yeah, but you want to make it a little bit twisty.
You want to make it twisty. And I like no looking back, but we're now transitioning on to Bye Bye, the final track of the album.
But yeah, well, we can go back to Looking Back if you want. Like, to me, it's just Janet Jackson, but when it brings in that brass and trumpet at the end, it's just like, oh, triumphant.
We don't need to speak more on that. So Bye Bye is the twisty end.
Yeah.
Because I think he becomes maybe re-infatuated, perhaps at a distance, with the concept of the Black Dogs. Almost like an alcoholic who hasn't had a drink for a while and sees a beer sitting on a table.
He just goes, fuck it. Or
considers it, right? And I think this is the interplay. Like, obviously the Black Dogs had such a profound impact on the character's life that it maybe isn't something that he can actually expunge from himself. He might leave them, but maybe some part of that is still within him. And this is that contemplation of that and maybe regressing back into that state, which is far more interesting as a final note, because it speaks more to the human condition, right? If you go through a harrowing experience and then you come out at the end, it's not all rosy, right? Like, there are things that you still may need to deal with regarding that experience. And I think that is best encapsulated by the song Bye Bye on this album. If it had not been there, I think it would have closed off worse.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it does kind of suit the theme of the album. If you just left it with Not Looking Back, you'd be like, oh, it's triumphant. It really does play into that. I guess the protagonist has found the higher meaning or whatever. But really, that's never true.
Well, not that it's never true, but there is always the potential to regress.
Yep.
There is always the potential to regress. And I think that is best said in the lyrics of this particular track. I don't really like this track as a song much, but I really like how it plays in the narrative.
Yep. I agree.
Cool.
Completely agree. That's the end of it. Wow. We're making these videos go longer and longer.
Well, I mean, you choose a concept album with what? 13, 14
15.
songs? 15 songs. And we need to
talk
about it.
There's a lot in this album too.
Okay, well, let's not butcher the outro then. Like, do you have any closing thoughts?
Nah, like, good start to the year.
Yeah.
I thought. It was an excellent start to the year.
We had a good start last year. Ballpark Music.
We did too. It crept up on you. And I'm wondering if this is how this will play out through the year. If it will lose flavor or maybe just become more attached.
I think I'll like this album more as time goes on. I'll pick and choose my songs. But I really like this album, hey.
Yeah, concept albums. Not really come across many of them. So yeah, funk, punk, aggressive, hip hop.
Primarily hip hop.
But rap,
Yeah, think Gene Dawson as an not an influence. I don't know to what extent they mix, but listening to it, I got flavors of Gene Dawson. He even has the word devilish in one of the lyrics too.
I said that to you the first time we played this, and I was like, you were like, nah.
Well, the first track didn't.
No. But yeah, I had listened to a couple of the other tracks before I played it to you, and I was like, it's got, that's what I thought. And I was like,
the flair for musical creativity in what is otherwise a standard genre is what I find most interesting about this.
Yep.
Definitely go listen to it.
And he's got a big future, I reckon.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I'd happily listen to the next album coming out. No doubt.
No doubt. All right. Well, I will give the replacement album.
Wait on. Scores, Brinny boy. How badly are you out of practice?
Yeah, I'm pretty bad, actually.
Yeah,
I'm struggling.
Okay, so what score?
What is your score? I reckon yes. For you, I reckon you'd probably be creeping closer to 8.
Tossing and turning between 7.5 and 8. I think the fact that there are still a few tracks on this album that I wouldn't go back to and listen to too many times means that I'll sit at about 7.5. But tracks that I gave 7.5 last year made it into my top 5 albums, so it's not a bad rating to get. I'm just obviously hard to impress.
Yes. This is an album you're not going to be disappointed with. Not Gene Dawson. Genesis Owusu, Smiling with No Teeth, for his debut album. Like,
it's excellent.
Fuck yeah. Should be goddamn proud.
Yeah,
Should
absolutely.
be proud.
Absolutely.
Okay, so replacement album?
Yeah, my choice.
Yes.
We're going to listen to 0202 by the Rubens. And we're going to record that right now. So if we're in the same clothes, it's because we're about to literally push pause and push play and go again.
Go again. All right. We'll see
We don't wear the same shit week to week. Well, we might.
We might. Running out of clothes. I swear we've wore the same shit over and over again. Who cares? Bye.
Yeah, bye. But the thing is that, like, I do wear the same shit because it's been raining